All right, so how would I take this messy listing and move to the next stages, which is selecting and narrowing? I'm just going to show you one example. So I'm going to pull out a few of these ideas onto a separate piece of paper. And so I've already set that up. I put out telescreens, watching and surveillance, Big Brother, violence as normal, people afraid of their children, children as spies, and then Newspeak, making thought crime impossible. These are all ideas that jumped out to me from my list that I might want to write about. So now I have to decide either to choose one. That's the easy way of narrowing it down, right? If you can just be like, oh, I want to write about violence as normal. Okay, done. Now you know your focus. All right, but we don't always have just one thing that we want to write about. So the other option is that you look for an umbrella idea. And I use this metaphor because this idea has to be big enough and similar enough that it can cover, it's one focus that covers several ideas at once. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to look at these and I'm going to think, how could I combine these into one idea? And if not, I might have to eliminate the things that I can't combine. So obviously, telescreens and the surveillance from the telescreen is similar to Big Brother because that's both surveillance. So surveillance is one of my potentially umbrella ideas. Violence as normal relates to surveillance, but it's not the same thing. People afraid of their children, children as spies, seems to have to do with surveillance. So these things definitely can go together. Okay. Now I have to figure out if violence as normal and Newspeak would be included in the same essay, in the same argument. So what's the relationship between surveillance and violence? Well, I could say that people are afraid of being vaporized, right? People are afraid of being vaporized or killed if found out, and that would be as a result of being watched, right? So that is like a consequence of surveillance, right? And a cause of fear. Whoops. Okay, so once I know that this has a clear relationship to my first set of ideas, now I can include it in that paper because I figured out how that relates. What about Newspeak, making thought crime impossible? Narrow language equals narrow thinking. Now, obviously, this is related because it's in the same context, it's in the same book. But does Newspeak have to do with surveillance? This is about the party trying to manipulate how people think. I feel like this is a little bit too different from what I'm talking about up here. I don't know if I could include it in the same paper. So I think what I would do is probably X that out and focus on this stuff up here. Okay, so now I've narrowed down and I've selected my topic, which at this point looks like it's going to be about surveillance.